Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jay from Sony Alpha Lab, and what I got here is the Zeiss Batis 18mm f2.8 FE lens. Now this lens is specifically designed for full-frame Sony E-mount cameras. You can also use this lens on the crop factor E-mount cameras as well, like the Sony a6500 for example. It'll also work on that, but in a crop factor mode. But it's, specifically it's a full-frame compatible lens, so it's got the enough coverage for the full frame, and that's really what it's optimized for. Now, this lens goes for about $1,500. It's fairly expensive, but it's a prime lens and it's top quality build. Zeiss made it. It's a metal body, super sharp and really high quality. 18 millimeters on a full frame camera is very wide. So this lens will work great for architecture photography, landscape photography, and any other wide-angle style photography you might be into. And I will show you tons of sample photos after we go over the basic, feature set of this lens. Now, for this review, I'm using the Sony a7 III, which is the latest full-frame camera from Sony that's, the most affordable. The a7 III is awesome, and it's really the best bang for the buck full-frame mirrorless camera on the market today, in my opinion. Let's go over some of the key features of this lens, all right? So it has a max aperture of f2.8 and it goes all the way to f22. So it has a distagon optical design, which contains 11 elements in 10 groups. It has 4 spherical lens elements and 7 special glass elements. It has a 77mm filter thread on the front, and it has a pinch style lens cap, which I really like. And it's also got a really nice pedal design lens hood. Goes on both ways, and it also has this cool OLED viewfinder like on the lens here to tell you the depth of field and the focus distance, and it lights up. It's pretty cool. It's like kind of a unique design. It also has this rubber focus ring, which works awesome. The dampening feels excellent, and it's very easy to grab even if you have gloves on. So this lens has a minimum focus distance of approximately 9.8 inches or 25 centimeters. It also has a floating lens element design, and it has a linear autofocus motor, which is very snappy. It's not quite as fast as maybe some of the higher end sports oriented lenses like 70-200 f2.8 lens, for example, but it's very quick. I tested it and the focus is very quick. It's also extremely quiet. I couldn't even hear it, honestly, recording video. I did some video transition testing and you couldn't even hear the focus on the video. Now, it doesn't mean that it's 100% silent, but it's extremely quiet. And like I said, I couldn't even hear it during the testing that I did. And I was outside, so there's a little bit of ambient noise, but unbelievably quiet. So this is an excellent lens for video as well, in my opinion. So right now I'm focused on the latch right here. Focused on this thing, so I'm just going to tap on the left side of the screen and it's going to switch focus to the other side of the railing. Alright, so now it's on the railing on the edge. Now I'm going to click the sky area, and now it's focused on the sky. And I am at f2.8 right now, so the shutter speed is quite high. It's actually at 1/1000th of a second, which is not ideal for cinematography purposes, but at the end of the day, you can see it works really well. I'm going to be quiet for this transition. Ready? I'm going to click on the sky now instead of the latch. Ready? So you could hear the focus motor. Extremely quiet. The lens design is also dust and moisture resistant, so it's a very rugged design, and it's really well made. Like the metal, it's just metal. It feels beefy and solid like a little brick, but it's very lightweight. It does not have optical stabilization, however. So this lens only weighs in at 11.64 ounces or 330 grams, so it's extremely lightweight. And you can see on the front here that even though it's an f2.8 lens, the optic is pretty small on the front there. You could see like how small the actual glass is on the front. So I was kind of surprised by that. But, it's a cool lens. Put the lens hood on here so you can see what it looks like with the lens hood. And you can see it's a nice sleek design. Looks cool. Looks like a little, it's like ballooned out there. But I really enjoyed using this lens. The colors are phenomenal. It has the T-Star Zeiss lens coating, so it's an anti-reflective coating, and they put that on the elements to, limit glare. It just really gives the colors that extra vivid punch, and it gives it like a certain look that only the Zeiss T-Star lens have. I love the way the colors render using a T-Star lens, and this is specifically made by Zeiss. This is not made by Sony. So Zeiss made this lens, and it just has like a killer look. You can see the reds have this like brilliant, rich red color to it. Same thing with the blues and the greens, and that's something that you really only get with a Zeiss T-Star lens that has those coatings on it, and it's just awesome. And if you're looking, for that super high quality look, the Zeiss Batis lens is a really, really great option. Now, of course, the Sony GM lenses are also phenomenal, and they offer really good quality too. But for a 18mm prime lens, if you don't need anything faster than f2.8, I highly recommend this lens. $1,500 is a lot of money, but you could have this lens like for a lifetime. It's one of those lenses that's worth investing in. And like I said, I took a ton of sample photos. I'll show you in a minute, and you'll just see that optical quality. The distortion is very well controlled, as you will see when I go through the photos, and the bokeh balls are nice and round. It's just an awesome lens, but you would expect $1,500. It really should be awesome, and it really is. It holds up. So, all right, let's go over some of these photos, and then we will wrap this review up. All right, guys, so here we are in Lightroom, and I just wanted to go over some of these sample photos. And I'm actually in my kitchen/living room, so sorry for any background noise you might be hearing, but it's a little bit more comfortable out here. So anyways, I was down at Morningside Lake, they call this, and the ice was frozen over a little bit with some water coming through. And it was just a good opportunity for some sample photos because the lighting was quite nice. And I just wanted to show you the punchy contrast that this Batis lens has. And up here on the top left, you'll see the EXIF data. So this was shot at f8, 1/500th of a second. So if you're wondering what the EXIF info is, it's up here on the top left. I'm not going to say it on every single photo, all right? So I'm just going to scroll through here, and this was shot in raw quality. So here's another photo, and I just wanted to show you because the aperture is f2.8, you can get some really blurry backgrounds even though it's an ultra wide angle lens. So a lot of times you'll see in movies, you'll see shots like this where it's like looking up at a sign or something, and you might wonder how you get that effect. Well, it's with a wide angle lens, and here's just an example of that. And you can see the depth of field fall off is quite nice in the background, the blur and everything. Here's just one of my car. I just wanted to show you how well this lens handles shooting into the sun. And it does a really good job. You can see a tiny bit of lens flare right here on my headlight area. And my license plate, I need to get a new one for sure. But anyway, that's how it handles it. And you can see it does a really good job. And this was shooting at f2.8, so wide open. And here's just another angle. Car is filthy. But this was without the sun, and so the sun was coming in at an angle here on the car. I just wanted to show you how the lens handled at that angle and shooting a white subject, so it underexposed a little bit, but still came out really well. Clarity and color is excellent. And here's another one. I just wanted to show you the sharpness on this building is absolutely remarkable. And I can actually enable the profile correction here, the lens profile correction, so you can see the distortion. So right off the camera, raw file looks like this. If you enable the profile correction, it'll fix that distortion and vignette effect. And the vignette is the darkening on the corners. So this lens does suffer a decent amount from vignette, but that's normal in a fast aperture lens like this. And here's another angle of that same store just further back. So you can see how the perspective changes drastically, and that wide angle allows you to get this cool, 3D looking effect. You can get really close to the building, but if you move back, it looks much more square and natural here at this angle from that distance. And this is just a train stop glass I focused on. I wanted you to see how the background renders on the right-hand side of the photo. Again, wide open. And here's another view, just looking at the square glass. And that was a good example to, again, show the distortion. All right, so there's the distortion corrected. You can see that square straightens up quite nice. And then you could see that little ballooning effect there. which is default. So moving on here, this one I actually did edit a little bit. I just straightened it and punched up the colors. This is at this awesome beer store called Beer King. They got a lot of IPAs and stuff, and I really enjoy the IPAs. In particular, this brand Equilibrium here. You can see how many Equilibriums they have. There's so many different kinds. This one here, Harvester of Science, was one of the best beers I've ever had in my life, as a matter of fact. But anyway, it's just a cool photo, and again, the wide angle effect, allows you to get shots like this. I'm in a tight quarter area, and it looks just 3D, and the colors are awesome. Sharpness is awesome all the way in the corner even. You could see just the clarity is excellent. This was at f5.6. And here's a couple more shots from inside the store just to show you if you wanted to use this for, interior photography and things like that. And you can see it handles it quite well. This is just the tap area. I wanted to show some depth of field fall off. As you can see, I focused on this spigot here, and then you can see the depth of field falling off in the background and also in the foreground here on this cool pipe. It's a really nice setup at this place. And here's just another shelf. I just got really close so you can see, just that perspective effect. Now here's a cool excavator machine, and these are super huge units. I don't really know what the proper terminology is for it, but I used to call them trench diggers as a kid. There's no bucket mounted currently, but you can get all sorts of attachments on this particular machine, and they're just really high quality. So I took a couple of photos so you can get a look at them. And this angle you get a slightly better view of where the bucket mounts, and you can see there's a bunch of trucks in the background there. And here's just a quick shot of my brother's truck, and you could see the house in the background is out of focus, and it's just another cool perspective type shot. And with a fast lens like this, you get that depth of field fall off as well on a full frame camera. And of course I was using the Sony a7 III for all these photos, so I thought this one came out pretty cool. And here's Charlie, and again, look at the clarity. It's just phenomenal. The sharpness and the contrast and everything. This lens is super high quality, guys. And these are just real world sample photos, nothing crazy. Just wanted to show you what this lens is capable of in the real world. Give you a good idea of what it can do, you know what I mean? So here's one wide open, and here's one at f8, so you can see the difference in the background out of focus area. Now moving on to some more landscape photos, I swung down to the Bashakill quick, and the lighting was pretty cool. Just took a couple of snapshots. I'll just scroll through. I was actually shooting at f10 for this particular frame. I left it at f10, took another shot, and you can see the colors are just awesome. And that's what you get with that T-Star lens coating I was telling you about. It just has this punchy color and vividness that comes across that you just don't get with cheaper lenses. You could see it right here. I mean, these are perfect examples of what I was trying to explain earlier. Just look at this, the clarity and depth. I mean, it just like offers an amazing like 3D rendering, or it's hard to explain. It just has like that look. And here's another example. It just looks awesome. And this one I actually opened it up to f2.8 so you could get a nice depth of field effect and get a little more 3D look out of the image. Just another one of my car there, just to give you another example of a wide angle car shot effect, something you might see in a magazine or something like that. And here's another one. I just focused on this weed. I was really close to the weed, pretty much minimum focus distance area, and the background out of focus area looks pretty cool. That old hotel, it's like an abandoned hotel, and it renders awesome out of focus like that. And it's super bright. The sun was shining on it, so the highlights were really bright, and you could see this lens just handled it like a champ. Now this one is edited slightly. I did edit it in Color Effects Pro. I was also using that ND filter, 10-stop B&W ND filter that I have linked below the video to get that awesome silky water effect, and that gave it an 8-second exposure as well. So I just wanted to show you how awesome that looks, and you could just see the vividness and the colors are just phenomenal. Here's another one. I edited this one slightly as well, and it just looks so cool. And I was actually standing on this rock, so on the foreground here on the bottom, so the water was actually like 10 feet down. So you could see this is slightly out of focus because of that depth difference. And here's another one. This is actually an HDR. So I combined 3 separate exposures to create this frame, and that really added some drama to the water and also filled in some of the shadow detail as well as the highlight detail a little bit. And it just creates, you know, it looks a little bit surreal, but that's kind of what you get with HDR photos. So I just wanted to show you one of those. This is actually another HDR photo, and I thought it came out really cool. That's just a town, Liberty here. And here's another pano. I just cropped this one in. This is also an HDR, and you can see it kind of has a dreamy look to it. The colors are just popping, nice and vibrant. Contrast is excellent, and you could also use this lens for portraits, but you're going to get that wide angle effect. So you could see Layla looks a little, you know, balloony there, like she's kind of popping out of the photo because I was so close to her when I took this shot, but I was wide open at f2.8. The background blurred right out, and you could see how well it handled the highlights in the background. The lens just does a really excellent job in that regard. Then I moved back a little bit and got a little bit more in the frame here, so you can see I was in a tight area at Taekwondo actually. And here's just a shot of some kids, the black belts at the Taekwondo school. And I just want to take a shot for the coach here. He asked me to take a quick photo for him. So, you know, it looks like the kids are really small. They're actually, you know, pretty tall. But because of that wide angle lens and how tall I am, I wanted to get that logo in the top. It kind of makes them look a little bit small. But it's great when you know, you're in tight quarters and you want to get a shot like this. The wide angle lens really work out nice. And here's just a photo of a truck in the town of Goshen here. And this gentleman was looking at me. He actually smiled and waved after I took the shot. Obviously a nice guy. And again, the color, clarity, sharpness is just absolutely killer on this lens. And this was taken at f8. And you can see all the way up in the corners, everything is sharp. A little bit of dust on the sensor there. Changing lenses a lot, so I got a little dust on it. And here's another one. This was actually shot in JPEG mode. So this is what the camera produced. You know, just straight off the camera, JPEG. Here's another JPEG, just the bench. And you can see all the way in the corner. Look at that. It's just razor blade sharp. This was taken at f8. And here's just a picture of this beautiful stone church. Again, shooting at f8. JPEG mode. The detail is really, really good. And this one I just wanted to show a depth of field fall off with the candy canes. So I focused on this candy cane on the right side, and you can see the depth of field fall off is just awesome. And you can see the circular bouquet balls on the Christmas tree ornaments and stuff. And here's another one. I just wanted to shoot into the sun again to show you how good this lens handles the contrast while shooting directly into the sun. And this is wide open at f2.8. You can see a little bit of lens flare here in the middle. And then I stopped it down here to f4.5 so you could see the lens flare change that little bit. So that is it for the real world photos, and I just have a couple of lab photos I wanted to show you quick. So here is wide open at f2.8, and you can see the depth of field fall off on the quarter in the foreground. It's out of focus. The lab scene is razor blade sharp. Wide open. And you can see the bouquet balls in the background on my little light setup there. So just a great representation of what this lens is capable of, in my opinion, in the lab environment. And if I enable the lens correction, you will see the vignette is quite significant. The darkening in the corner there. You see that? And the distortion you could also see. It's not too bad, but it is there. So I just wanted to show you that quick. And then if I scroll to the right, you could see how the vignette goes away as you stop the lens down to f4 and then f5.6. Here's f8. Here's f11 and f16. Alright, so now I have a couple of minimum focus distance test shots I wanted to show you. So now you can see the lab scene is totally out of focus and blurry. It looks great, and the bouquet balls are quite large. And you could zoom in there and just see the incredible clarity on that quarter and the contrast. And again, this lens handles fringing, all sorts of stuff like that extremely well because it's a very high quality optic. And let me just show you what this looks like as I stop it down. You can watch the bouquet balls get smaller as it stops down. And there's f16. Alright guys, well that is about it for this review. I really hope you got what you were looking for, and if you liked the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and also be sure to subscribe. And as you can see here on my main channel, there's a bunch of tabs here on the top. If you click on home, you could just scroll down and there's all the other lens reviews, camera reviews, tutorials, how-to videos, things like that. But in addition, I wanted to show you this community tab here. If you click the community tab, there's this like Facebook like forum sort of posting area where I can actually post like comments and share pictures and stuff like that. It's really a cool section that I've been starting to use lately, and it's a way for you to, you can comment on photos and things like that I post. I actually just posted a Happy New Year wishes little paragraph here, and encourages you to set some goals and things like that. So be sure to check that out when you get a chance as well. And one other thing I wanted to show you is below the video. This is pretty important for the links and stuff if you want to support what I do. I really appreciate it. And this is how you would do that. This is just the Sony FE 100-400 GM lens review as an example. But if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up right here. You can click that thumbs up. And also, if you click the J Sony Alpha Lab here, that'll bring you to my main channel. All right, so that's how you get to the main channel. And also, if you just click this Show More tab, it'll actually bring up all the information below the video. And that's where all the links are if you want to do shopping and things like that. And, if you want to give me like a tip, you could send me like a tip for, a couple dollars or even $1 or something like that if you want to buy me a coffee. If you got something out of the video or if one of my tutorials helped you, that would be greatly appreciated. Of course, you don't have to do that. It's just one of those things you might not even know it's there. And I just wanted to make you aware of that. And then, of course, below that, there's comments and questions. So be sure to check those out, because a lot of times you might have a question and it's already been asked and answered below the video. So that is pretty much how it works. And again, back to the main channel here, if you just click home, you will see all the videos and stuff come up. And you be sure to check out some of the other camera and lens reviews. I've got a lot of lenses here. And if you don't see something, sometimes there's only so many lenses reviews that show up here. Just go to videos. And if you click on the videos, that'll bring up every video that I've ever made. And you can just scroll down and click, they'll just keep coming up. I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of videos, all right? Lots of tutorials, and the Sony cameras, all pretty much work the same as well. So if you're looking for a specific tutorial or on focus or, something like that, just look for some of the older videos or the newer videos, depending on what feature you're looking for. And even if it's a different camera, a lot of times it's pretty much exactly the same, from camera to camera, and that's kind of how the Sony cameras work. So in any event, I really hope you guys got what you were looking for, and I hope you have a Happy New Year as well. The day I'm recording this, it's January 1st, 2019, so that is pretty much it, and you just got a nice snore from Bones Jones in the background if you happen to hear that. All right, guys, I will catch up with you next time, so take care.